I apologize for the lack of updates of the past few months, but I took some time off and then quite a few things happened that prevented me from getting back to it sooner. I actually started editing a couple of videos a few weeks ago, but then a few subjects appeared that I really wanted to make videos about, and today is one of those videos. So Portugal is going through its worst crisis ever, and this is coming from a country that has had 3 bankruptcies in less than 50 years. So while we're going through this crisis, the socialists are making things worse. The lockdowns were obviously a bad idea for a country that depends solely on tourism and also on the help of a third party, which in this case is the European Union. Portugal has increased its debt to record numbers. We have also a large number of new unemployed people, and the plan of the socialists to recover from this crisis is to spend the money that we don't have in infrastructures that we don't need. Which is nothing new. This is exactly what happened in 2011, just before the 3rd bankruptcy. Actually, it started in 2005 and it lasted until 2011, where the socialists in power, with José Sócrates as the prime minister, they essentially spent all the money that we didn't have, precisely to create infrastructures that we either didn't need or we didn't need for that price, because it was just too expensive. We could not afford it. But it was still done. The debt almost doubled in just 6 years. And the deficit grew by 4%, which was a big deal. However, with this current crisis, we are looking at an above 5% deficit in just the first semester. So things are not looking good. And this happened mostly because of the lockdown that lasted for a month and a half, almost 2 months basically. So Portugal is in dire straits, and obviously the socialists are not helping. They never are. But they are trying to approve the budget for 2021, and they are trying to get support from the far left, as they usually do. But the far left is in a precarious situation, especially the communists, because since they united forces with the socialists in 2015 so that António Costa, the current leader of the socialists, could be the prime minister by force, because he didn't win any elections, the communists have lost a lot of support. They've lost city halls, their voters are not pleased with it. In fact, they are losing supporters by the thousands. And the reasons for that is, of course, the fact that they united forces with the socialists and essentially corrupted what is usually a very coherent speech. I mean, it's an hypocritical speech, as is any socialist or communist speech, but it was coherent. At least it maintained a sort of coherency. But as soon as they united forces with the socialists and approved budgets to do exactly the opposite of what the communists usually defended, they started losing supporters. And it makes sense. So they're not too happy about doing any sort of coalition with the socialists again. The left bloc is a different story. They are far leftists and they'll sell their mother to get power. And so I would say that they will vote in favor of the budget no matter what, because they want to get power again. And finally, I get to the point of this video, which is the fact that the president, Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, the most horrible president that this country has ever had, is actually pressuring the Social Democrats to vote for the socialist budget in case the far left doesn't. So if you've seen my previous videos, one of them is precisely about the fact that Rui Rio, who is the president of the Social Democrats, is basically a Trojan horse for the socialists. He is essentially destroying the Social Democrats, a center-left party who is leaning to the left, basically. He sided with the government in everything, and I do mean everything, during the lockdown. And he even said ridiculous things like not supporting the government at a time like this is not patriotic. Which means that he accepts everything that the government did, even violating the constitution of this country. So Rui Rio is a Trojan horse of the Socialist Party, and it's no surprise that Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, the president, is pressuring Rui Rio to actually vote for the budget if the far left doesn't, because he knows that Rui Rio is open for that possibility. In fact, I would say that he already thought about that. He thought about doing it. If the far left doesn't approve the budget, then he will. And this is the current situation. We have lost complete control of every institution in this country for the socialists. They are in power and they do whatever they want. The president, who is the only one that can stop the government, he can fire the government, does nothing. He wants to keep this government in power. His reasons to pressure Rui Rio to vote for the budget are because he does not want a political crisis at this point, and also because Portugal in a few months will be the president of the European Union. So this is all about politics. He doesn't care about the state of this country, and we are going very fast towards the fourth bankruptcy, all thanks to the socialists. The lockdowns, which of course were decided by the socialists, just made it worse, made it happen faster. But we were already in the path of the fourth bankruptcy, and the president is actually making things worse, which is no surprise. But we've reached a point where we have no resort. We have absolutely nothing in this country that can stop the socialists. The courts are completely dominated by the socialists. The presidency is completely dominated by the socialists. The biggest opposition party, which are the Social Democrats, are completely controlled by the socialists. We have no venue to stop this. And of course, this is all thanks to the Portuguese people that gave power to the socialists again in 2019, but still the corruption of all institutions and essentially the creation of what is now a dictatorship. Portugal is not a democracy. If we are, it's just in paper. In reality, we are not. Those in power corrupt everything around them, and no matter what they do, no one can stop their actions. No one can stop their destruction of this country. And now that billions are coming from the European Union to bail out a country who is constantly in bankruptcy, the socialists have the socialist book wide open, essentially to spend all that money in infrastructure that we don't need, and of course distribute all that money across their friends and family, and of course their clienteles, like the public servants. They will have raises, I have no doubt about that, and I'll make a video when that happens. And other clienteles of the government, they are buying votes with that money. Because one of our largest problems right now is our debt. It increased by a lot during this pandemic, and it's still rising, it's not stopping. We are over 260,000 million euros, which is astronomically higher than it was in 2011. And the socialists just keep increasing it. And the money that comes from the European Union will not be used to pay the debt, because it's not even enough. The money that we're going to get each year is not even enough to pay the costs that Portugal has per year regarding the debt. For the budget of 2020, the government claimed that we are going to spend over 7,000 million euros on debt costs. The money that we're going to receive from the European Union each year is lower than 7,000 million euros. So the socialists know perfectly well that it's not enough for that, so they're going to spend it elsewhere. They're going to spend it on their schemes, on their crimes, as they usually do, corrupting more people, buying votes. So Portugal is lost. Anyway, I hope you like this, and I'll see you next time.